Dear students, today we'll see the second part of the 11th section of the second unit, that is Basics of Semiconductor Devices, in the ECD lab. Okay. Now in this we are going to see how do we select different biasing voltages so that we can have forward bias and reverse bias of diode. Okay. So let's have the starting point that there are two operating regions and three possible biasing conditions which are possible in case of junction diode. Now, these biasing conditions are: number one is zero bias. Now, in this zero bias, it is not an operating region. The diode is not going to operate. It is zero bias means no external voltage potential is applied to the PN junction diode. Number two is reverse bias. The voltage potential is connected negative to the p-type material and positive to the n-type material across the diode, which has the effect of increasing the PN junction diode's width. And number three is forward bias. The voltage potential is connected positive to the p-type material and negative to the n-type material across the diode, which has the effect of decreasing the PN junction diode width. So these are the two biasing, that is reverse bias and forward bias. These are the two operating regions. And totally we have three types of biasing. Number one was zero biasing, number two is reverse biasing, and number three is forward biasing. So let's see one by one each of how they work. Okay. So let's start with zero bias. So here you can see in zero bias, you have connected the PN junction. The PN junction you have connected to a ground. There is no voltage supply here. So here you can see you have P-type region. This is your P-type region and this is your N-type region, and both are connected to ground. So here you can see you have connected them to ground. Okay, so it is circuit wise. If you see, this is the diode. So in this diode you can see that this is N type region, this is P type region, and P type also is connected to ground and N type also is connected to ground. So it is not connected to any voltage, and whatever voltage you have will be because of the potential difference here. Whatever potential difference you have, that voltage you will get. This will be the voltage what you will get. Okay, so built-in potential which will be 0.3 volt for germanium diode, and it will be 0.7 volt for silicon diodes. Okay, now this is what is zero bias condition is. Now what happens in zero bias condition is, say for example here you have your p-type and n-type material. So let's see. So here you can have your, say this is your p-type material, and here you are having your depletion region. Okay, and here you will be having your n-type material. So here you can see n-type material. In n-type material you have electrons which are more in number, which are majority charge carriers, and in p-type you have holes which are more in number, which are majority charge carriers. Okay, which are majority charge carriers. And then here you have ions. These are negative ions and these are positive ions. Whatever you have, because of that you are going to have this depletion layer, this potential barrier, which can be your 0.3 volt for germanium and 0.7 volt for silicon. Okay, now in this case what will happen, this potential barrier, this depletion region, is not allowing your majority charge carriers to cross over. That is, electrons from the N side will not cross over to P side, and holes from P side will not cross over to N type. So majority charge carriers crossing is stopped. Majority charge carriers crossover is stopped, is stopped. Okay, stopped. Now what happens here, there will be a minority charge carriers in both the semiconductor layers. Like say for example in N type you have little holes, okay, and in P type you have small number of electrons. Now this potential barrier will help them to cross the junction. The minority charge carriers will cross the junction and they will produce a moment, a current, And whereas the majority charge carriers will not cross over, they will repel, and because of that there will be a equilibrium in the state of p-n junction, and there will be no movement of current at all, and that equilibrium will be called as dynamic equilibrium. That equilibrium called as dynamic equilibrium. Okay, so now this is something which happens when there is no voltage applied to the PN junction. So you're not applying any voltage here. So here if you see your PN junction, you're not applying any voltage. It is at zero potential. That is, it is at ground potential. So here if you see, here also if you see, if you connect this you have connected to say ground. This you are connected to ground, so it is zero potential. If even if there is was voltage, it will be 0 volt. Voltage will be 0 volt. Okay, so it is connected to ground, so it is in a state of p-n junction only, where the potential barrier is playing a role and the majority charge carriers are not crossing over. There is no movement of any crossover of majority charge carriers. Minority charge carriers will be initially held by the potential barrier to cross, but afterwards there will be an equilibrium and there will be no flow of current from anywhere, and there will be no flow of charge carriers in zero bias condition. So here the same theory we can read for zero bias. The potential barrier that now exists discourages the diffusion of any more majority carriers across the junction. However, the potential barrier helps minority carriers, that is few electrons in the p region and few holes in the n region, to drift across the junction. Then an equilibrium or balance will be established when the majority carriers are equal and both moving in opposite directions, so that the net result is zero current flowing in the circuit. When this occurs, the junction is said to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium. But as a whole, for zero bias, there will be no flow of charge carriers, there will be no flow of current, the current will be zero. Okay. Then we'll go to see what is forward bias. So here we have shown what is forward bias. So here you can see the N-type region and P-type region shown over here. So here you can see the N-type region. This is the N region and this is the P region. Now N region is connected to the negative terminal of the battery here, and P region is connected to the positive terminal of the battery here. Okay. Now because of this, what will happen? This majority charge carriers in P type, which you have holes will be repelled by the positive potential here. So they will repel and they will start moving towards the N region. Whereas the electrons here in N region will be repelled by the negative potential what you are applying here, negative potential. So this will make the electrons to cross over the junction and go to the other side. So the crossover of charge carriers will take place after the applied voltage crosses the opposition voltage, which is the potential barrier of 0.3 volt in case of germanium and 0.7 volt in case of silicon. Okay, so here also you can see this is the positive terminal of the battery which is connected to the anode, and negative terminal of the battery is connected to the cathode. So if this arrangement is there, then the holes from P region will cross over to N and electrons from N region will cross over to P, and the width of the depletion layer becomes very small, and after you cross over or after you overcome the potential barrier voltage, there will be a large forward current flowing. Okay. Now here, if you see the PN junction, if you see the P-type material here and the depletion layer here, okay, and N-type material here. So if you see that this is P-type, this is N-type, this is your depletion region. So P-type will be having holes, which we will indicate as positive charge carriers, and N-type will be having electrons, which we will indicate as negative charge carriers. Okay, and here in between you have this negative ions here, negative ions, and positive ions here, positive ions. So this will make your depletion layer. There will be an electric field here. This will be around 0.3 volt for germanium and 0.7 volt for silicon. And then the potential whatever you are going to apply will be this P type will be connected to positive terminal of the battery, and N type will be connected to negative terminal of the battery. Okay. Now this positive negative terminal will make a change in the force which will act on the charge carriers. Say this positive potential, when it is acting on these holes which themselves are positive charge, they will repel the holes and the holes will cross over the junction. Okay, similarly, when this negative voltage is connected to the electrons, which are also negative charge carriers, those will again repel and they will cross over the junction. So they are in a position to cross over the junction. But exactly when the junction is going to cross, what should be this voltage? So if you draw the graph, okay, if you draw the graph, then there in the graph you can see this x-axis will be your applied voltage and y-axis will be your current. So there, if you start from zero, when the voltage is zero, there will be no crossover because the potential barrier here, this area which is the potential barrier, is of 0.3 volt in case of germanium and 0.7 volt in case of silicon. Say for example, if you are having a germanium diode, if this is a germanium diode, then if you increase the voltage to 0.1, there will be no current. If you increase to 0.2, there will be no current. If you increase to 0.3, then the voltage applied will be equal to the potential barrier. And then at 0.4, you can see there will be an increase in current. So the graph will look something like this, So from 0.4, then 0.5 volt, 0.6 volt, you can see a increase in the current like this. Okay, so this will be your forward current increase. This will be your forward bias condition. This will be your forward current increase. Okay, and this will take place in a germanium diode at a voltage when it becomes equal, when the applied voltage becomes equal to the potential barrier, say this voltage. And this voltage, because it resembles to a human knee, it can also be called as knee voltage. So after knee voltage, the current increasing will be fast. There will be more current increasing for a smaller increase in voltage, and the width of the depletion layer will decrease, resistance of the diode will decrease, and maximum current starts flowing in the diode. Okay. Similarly, if you take silicon or diode, then this knee voltage, instead of 0.3, that will take place at 0.7 volt. Okay. So here you can see the graph for a silicon diode. So here you can see if you start from zero, if you increase the voltage, there is no majority charge carrier current flowing. If you increase again the voltage to 0.2 volt, there is no majority charge carriers current. If you increase to 0.3 also, there is no. If you increase to 0.4 volt also, there is no current. If you increase to 0.5 volt also, there is no current. 0.6 volt also, there is no current. But once you reach 0.7 volt in case of silicon, your applied voltage becomes equal to the potential barrier, and the majority charge carriers can cross over the junction, and there will be an increase in current. You can see this increase in a current for a smaller increase in voltage. Okay, so this current will increase for a smaller increase in voltage. So even if you increase from 0.7 to 0.8, you can see so much increase. From 0.8 to 0.9, you can see a lot of increase in the forward current. Okay, the thing is, once you cross the potential barrier, this is the knee voltage. So once you cross that, then the current will increase for a less or little increase in voltage. There will be a more increase. There is a drastic increase in the forward current. Then we'll go to the theory of forward bias. When a diode is connected in forward bias condition, a negative voltage is applied to the N-type material and a positive voltage is applied to the P-type material. If this external voltage becomes greater than the value of the potential barrier, approximately 0.7 volt for silicon and 0.3 volt for germanium, the potential barrier's opposition will be overcome and the current will start to flow. This is because the negative voltage pushes or repels electrons from the N region towards the junction, giving the energy to cross over, and combined with the holes being pushed in the opposite direction towards the junction by the positive voltage. This results in a characteristic curve of zero current flowing up to this voltage point, called the knee voltage on the static curve, and then after the applied voltage overcomes the knee voltage or the potential barrier, then a high current flows through the diode with little increase in external voltage. This is what we have seen in forward bias condition. Then we'll go to see what is a reverse bias condition. So here in reverse bias condition, you can see the N region. The N region here is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. So here you can see, and P region here is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, now because of this charge carriers are attracted. Now this electrons here, which are negative charge carriers, they are attracted towards the positive charge of the battery, and these holes, which are positive charge carriers, will be attracted towards the negative charge of the battery, and because of this, they will be opposite movement of the charge carriers. They will move in opposite directions, and because of this, the depletion layer between P and N will increase. There will be a wider depletion layer between P and N junction. So here you can see the same thing in symbol wise. You can have a diode where N type is connected to positive terminal and the anode is connected to the negative terminal. So a cathode is connected to positive and anode is connected to negative. The flow of majority charge carriers is not there. The current flowing through the diode will be zero, and you can see the diode acting as an open switch for reverse bias condition. Now exactly what happens in reverse bias conditions? Okay, now here if you see, if you're having, say, this is your p-type material, this is p-type material, you are having a depletion layer here between P and N junction, and you are having N-type material here. Okay, so this is your p-type material, this is N-type material. In p-type you have holes as majority charge carriers, and in N-type you have electrons as majority charge carriers, and the p-type material is connected to a battery's negative terminal, this is minus, and positive terminal of the battery will be connected to the N region. So this positive charge carriers, which are holes, will be attracted by the negative terminal of the battery, and this negative charge carriers, which are electrons in N type, will be attracted towards the positive terminal of the battery, and because of this, the majority charge carriers will start moving in opposite direction. They will not cross this potential barrier area. Okay, now in p-type you will be having minority charge carriers like electrons. There will be a few electrons, and in N-type you will be having a few holes. Now for them, this type of arrangement of battery will act as a forward bias. This negative will repel the electrons in p-type to go to the N-type, and this positive battery will repel the holes in N-type to cross over to p-type, and for them it is a like forward bias. Okay, now this forward bias will not be much. There will be a small leakage current flowing because of the minority charge carriers. So if you see the graph of reverse bias, the reverse bias graph you can see in the third quadrant, where the applied voltage is negative and the applied current also is negative. Okay, so initially once you start from zero applied voltage, once this voltage is equal to zero, you don't get any current flowing. Okay, now once this voltage becomes equal to breakdown voltage, there will be a referred specific breakdown voltage for every construction of PN junction. So once it reaches the breakdown voltage, after that, the current will drastically increase in reverse direction. This will be called as reverse breakdown. This will be called as reverse breakdown. Okay. Now what we are explaining here is, as we are increasing this voltage as 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, okay, 3 volt, 4 volt, we are increasing it. Okay, only the minority charge carriers which are there in both the semiconductor layers, they will just cross over and there will be a small leakage current flowing. A small leakage current you can show here. You can have a small leakage current here. Okay, now after you increase the voltage for much higher value, at that time what happens? This movement of charge carriers will collide with other atoms, and many other covalent bonds will get broken. They will get broken, and then you get a lot of minority charge carriers generated. And because of that, there will be a drastic increase in the flow of minority charge carriers. That is, there will be a drastic increase in the reverse current flow, and that happens when the voltage reaches the breakdown voltage. Okay, so this is how your reverse breakdown will take place. Now, this reverse breakdown should be limited within certain limits, otherwise it can destroy the component. So here if you see the graph of a reverse bias condition, so here you can see the x-axis is for reverse voltage and the y-axis is for reverse current, and here you can have your reverse current. Down you can see you can have your reverse current here, and this is reverse current. And then you can see that when you start from 0, okay, when you increase the reverse voltage to 20 volt, you are having only a few minority charge carriers flowing through the across the junction, and that will make a small leakage current. Even if you reach to 40 volt, there is a small leakage current because of minority charge carriers. Even if you reach to 60 volt, there is a small leakage current of minority charge carriers. Even if you reach to around 80 volt, there is a small leakage current because of minority charge carriers. But after a voltage, which is a breakdown voltage, is reached, okay, then you can see that minority charge carriers will attain the force and they will collide with the atoms and they will make many covalence bond break. There will be an avalanche effect. There will be a breakdown. There will be more number of minority charge carriers, and it will give rise to a drastic reverse current in reverse direction, which should be handled within certain limits. Otherwise, it can damage the diode. So here, if you see the theory for reverse bias, you can say that when a diode is connected in reverse bias condition, a positive voltage is applied to the N-type material and a negative voltage is applied to the P-type material. The positive voltage applied to the N-type material attract electrons towards the positive electrode and away from the junction, while the holes in the P-type end are also attracted away from the junction towards the negative electrode. The net result is that the depletion layer grows wider due to lack of electrons and holes and present a higher impedance path. That means resistance will be more. Almost it acts as an insulator, and a high potential barrier is created across the junction, thus preventing the current from flowing through the semiconducting material. This condition represents a high resistance value of the PN junction and practically zero current flowing through the junction diode with an increase in bias voltage. However, a very small reverse leakage current does flow through the junction, which can normally be measured in microamperes. This is because of the minority charge carriers. One final point, if the reverse bias voltage VR applied to the diode is increased further to a specific value of breakdown voltage, there will be a sudden increase in reverse current as the minority charge carriers increase due to avalanche effect. This is the stage when the reverse current increases drastically for a small increase in voltage. This is what happens in your reverse bias condition. Then if you go to see the summary of this biasing, then you can see when it is zero biasing what happens, when it is forward biasing what happens, and when it is reverse biasing what happens. So the first point says that when a diode is zero biased, no external energy source is applied and a natural potential barrier is developed across the depletion layer, which is approximately 0.5 to 0.7 for silicon diodes. So we always take it as 0.7, and approximately 0.3 volt for germanium diodes. The second point says that when the junction diode is forward biased, the thickness of the depletion region reduces and the diode acts like a short circuit, allowing full circuit current to flow. And the third says that when the junction diode is reverse biased, the thickness of the depletion region increases and the diode acts as an open circuit, blocking any current flow. Only a very small leakage current will flow. But as you increase the reverse bias voltage, this leakage current will increase and there will be a drastic increase in the current once you reach the breakdown reverse voltage. Okay. Thank you, students.